Coming up this morning, Office of the Special Prosecutor charges former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to return to Ghana voluntarily or be forced to do so. Attorney General justifies decision to discontinue high-profile cases in court. A while later, President Mahama suspends rotation of national celebration of Ghana's independence. Details of these and more stories coming your way shortly. We begin the program from here. The Special Prosecutor, Kisi Ejabeng, says his office will force former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta into Ghana to answer questions over ongoing investigations against him. Ken Ofori-Atta was declared wanted as part of a series of announced investigations by the OSP in an emergency press conference yesterday. My colleague Mawena Egbeta has the details.
Strategic Mobilization Limited, SML saga, Ambulance Spare Parts saga, the National Cathedral saga, and the revenue loss contract with Beijing Zhao. These four cases and a potential fifth are the subject of investigations requiring the answering of questions by the former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. According to the Special Prosecutor Kisi Ejabeng, invitation to the former minister have been met with explanation by his lawyers over his absence due to medical reasons, a situation they find hard to believe.
OSP is unconvinced that the purported medical letter transmitted by Mr. Ofori-Atta through his lawyers to the OSP represents a medical report to the effect that Mr. Ofori-Atta is incapacitated or is so sickly and invalid to the extent that he is physically unable to return to the jurisdiction without imperiling his life. The OSP declares Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta a wanted person. He is a fugitive from justice. The OSP will take all necessary legal steps to secure his return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP. And this is to Mr. Ofori-Atta. You have two choices. You can either return to the jurisdiction voluntarily or the OSP will enforce your return.
On allegations of the alleged raid of Ken Ofori-Atta's home, Kisi Ejabeng had this to say.
Mr. Ofori-Atta, the OSP did not raid your house on Tuesday, 11 February 2025. Our intelligence points us to state that the purported raid on Mr. Ofori-Atta's residence was staged, or at best, an imposter action in an attempt to court disfavor for the OSP and to derail the investigation.
The Special Prosecutor, meanwhile, says it is investigating the embezzlement of 1.3 billion cedis by former CEO of the NPA, Mustafa Hamid, and some 3 other staff, along with financial misappropriation at the Minerals Income and Investment Fund.
The OSP has also commenced investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offences in respect of the operations of the Minerals Income Investment Fund, MIF, especially regarding payments made in respect of Ejapa Royalties Limited. The OSP has also commenced investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offences in respect of an alleged embezzlement of 1.3 billion cedis from the Unified Petroleum Pricing Fund, UPPF, at the National Petroleum Authority, NPA.
Reactions, meanwhile, have been mixed to the development. Former Director General of the Ghana School of Law, Ansar Sare, and private legal practitioner Martin Pebu shared their views on the declaration of Ken Ofori-Atta as a wanted man.
Don't let us allow ourselves to be used by incumbent government to declare a former finance minister as a wanted fugitive. It's a very serious matter. It's an act of disgrace to the nation. Let us go about it in a more civilized manner.
I think we have to fault Kisi Ejabeng that he's been extremely tardy, very, very tardy. Even people, lay people knew that a lot of the MPP guys were going to flee. So they kept making noise that, is there a stop list at the airport? Is there a stop list at the airport? Where was Kisi Ejabeng? So that side saddens me.
For now, time best will tell what course of action the OSP will pursue to have the former minister appear to answer questions.
The majority in Parliament has added their voice to the raging debate on the declaration by the Special Prosecutor that former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is a fugitive of justice. Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga says there's the need for public officers to avail themselves for accountability, while Energy Minister John Jinapor recounted his ordeal when security operatives raided his home after the NDC exited office, calling on the former finance minister to avail himself for investigation in order to bring the matter to finality.
On that fateful day, when my house was raided by AK-47 wielding national security operatives, when they banged on my door, creating fear and panic, sending my 6-year-old child into a state of hysteria, into a state of fear. We had members here. They never commented on it. And I commend Professor Michael Kwe on that day when he stood up and ruled that what they were doing was wrong. In our local language, fugitive, in our local language, it means that wadenuwa kamura. Wadenuwa kamura. Or, to put it simply, wajibab. Or in the Hausa language, otilo. Otilo. Or to put it in a more simpler way, yagudu. It's as simple as that, Mr. Speaker. We should not be afraid of accountability. As public officials, when they took my laptop, it got to a point they couldn't even open the iPhone. I told them I was willing to come and use my fingerprint. It was then and there that they told me that the phones had been taken to the United Kingdom. I had to give them the password. Eventually, the very America that I was accused of, a minister was dismissed because it came here padded by almost $800 million. Mr. Speaker, on this auspicious day, on this day of reckoning, on this day of accountability, the only thing I can say is that we wish the man in white,
5 minutes,
the best of luck.
Is to be the most dangerous thing that will happen to the democracy of this country if a certain group called the political class are allowed to conspire to protect each other. I take a position that, indeed, the reason why the voters go and vote for one political party as against the other is so that they will come and hold each other accountable. The day that we stop holding each other accountable, that will be the day the electorate will lose confidence in this democracy. And when they lose confidence in this democracy, that is the end of democracy in Ghana. So the special prosecutor is seized with the matter, is investigating the matter, and wants the former finance minister to appear before them for some investigation. They indicate that there are 2 other matters they are investigating, but they haven't indicated exactly what those 2 other matters are. So, Mr. Speaker, let's be cautious not to make statements that will be prejudicial to the work of the special prosecutor.
The minority in Parliament have condemned the raid on the private residence of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta by security operatives. Members of the caucus believe that former Finance Minister is being witch-hunted by the current administration, a situation which may spell doom for Ghana's democracy.
I express my profound concern to the formally condemn the recent action taken by the Office of the Special Prosecutor in declaring Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta a wanted fugitive. The basis for this declaration rests solely on the assertion that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta has not responded to requests to appear before the OSP in person. The implication of this incident extends beyond the individual involved. They strike at the very heart of our nation's commitment to justice, accountability, and the rule of law. When institutions like the OSP deviate from their mandate and operate in a matter that appears arbitrarily, they jeopardize our collective effort to build a society based on fairness and respect for the rights of all citizens.
My brother, you don't use soldiers to raise somebody's home in a democracy. Yes. We are not sending the right signal to our electorate. Mr. Speaker, The man has put the state on notice of his absence from the jurisdiction. To support this call in bringing sanity in the country, so that nobody will take advantage to unleash any violence on anybody.
Attorney General Dominic Ayine has justified his decision to discontinue some high-profile political cases in court. Speaking at a press conference, he said he did not take the decision alone, but consulted widely, including the defense lawyers.
I am owning up, fellow citizens, to stand by the professional decision I took that in my current position as Attorney General and Minister of Justice, and for that matter, the prosecutor in those cases, I was not going to suddenly recant my professional position and continue to prosecute the accused persons in those two cases. No new evidence has been presented to me upon assumption of office as Attorney General to cause me to abandon my professional convictions. As an aside, in any decent constitutional democracy, the disgraceful and unethical conduct of the former Attorney General, the Honorable Godfred Yebo Adame, in interfering with a key witness who also happened to be the second accused in the Atoforsen case, should have resulted automatically in a mistrial. But let us leave that for another day. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, the second reason why I dropped the charges in some of the cases, as I stated above, is that the charges were defective and upon careful scrutiny were filed against the promptings of plain common sense. The reason why I dropped the charges in some of the cases was that the evidence adduced so far fell significantly short of what was required to convict the accused persons. And yet the state pressed on with the prosecutions.
You're still watching the morning news here on TV3, also live on Facebook at TV3 Ghana with me, Godwin Asedeba. We do more stories. President John Dramani Mahama has suspended the rotational national celebration of Ghana's independence. This is in view of the cost of financial implications on the national coffers. Addressing the media in Accra, Minister of State in charge of communications, Felix Kwachi Ofosu, said the last celebration in Ho cost 15 million cedis, and this cannot continue.
March 1957, Ghana gained its independence from British colonial rule. And since then, every year, there has been national celebrations to mark that momentous occasion. In the last few years, however, there has been an effort to rotate the celebrations amongst various regional capitals. Now, whereas the intentions behind that may be noble, President Mahama has asked that rotational policy be suspended because of the need to scale down. And this has become necessary due to escalating costs. It has been discovered after some review that the rotation imposed additional costs. And therefore, at a time when our national budget is severely constrained due to economic difficulties, it was not going to be sustainable to keep rotating the national celebrations. Indeed, if I were to put figures on how much it costs to hold these celebrations, you will find that depending on where the celebrations are sent, there is significant cost implications. For that reason, he has decided that this year's celebration will not take on the spectacular form that we have been used to over the years. Rather than a major event at the Independence Square, where there are contingents of men from the various security agencies and hundreds of school children, I beg your pardon, from across the country who march briskly to applause and cheers. We are going to have a significant ceremony at the presidency, and this will ensure that we minimize the often huge financial implications that come with this celebration.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Education says government will need $1.5 billion to be invested into the education sector for the next few years. Haruna Idrisu says the amount, when secured, will be used to bridge infrastructure gap and address other challenges in the education sector. He was speaking when he toured 4 agencies under the Ministry of Education in Accra.
The sector minister, Haruna Idrisu, recounted the infrastructure gap in the education sector. He recalled the challenges as a result of the rollout of the free SHS program, whose students are overpopulated in the public universities. He indicated that government may have to secure over $1 billion to be invested into the education sector.
I trust that between now and the next few years, we would have to invest a minimum of $1.5 billion into the education sector in order to respond to the infrastructure deficit and to bridge the discrepancy gap between the north and the south.
Already, the previous government has built some STEM schools across the country. The sector minister indicated his readiness to ensure that the STEM schools are strengthened.
Accra STEM Academy model, not just an edifice, but it assures these young children that as they started, they will graduate out here completing senior high school. So our intention would be to scale it up and ensure that every regional capital has a STEM infrastructure built for that region, beginning with Upper East, Upper West, OT, and West and North. Then the other regions will follow as Accra has have then.
We turn our attention to health now. The Upper West region is grappling with a surge in cases of meningitis, with 94 suspected cases and 14 deaths reported as of Tuesday, February 10, 2025. Correspondent Ibrahim Wangara has been monitoring events there and has come through the following report.
The latest update on meningitis reveals a concerning trend with a case fatality rate of 18.7%. During the week under review, 20 confirmed cases of CSM with 14 deaths were reported in the region. Places like Nadoli, Nandom, Jirapa, and Wa were in an alert phase, while 2 new districts, Wa West and Sisala East, reported fresh cases, bringing the total number of affected districts to 9 out of 11. The health minister, Kwabena Minta Akando, together with a team of experts, visited the region to obtain first-hand information on the meningitis outbreak in the area.
We are going to provide whatever it takes to be able to contain this disease. For now, we have brought some number of items. The antibiotics they are using, we have brought enough. And the directive is that anybody who suspects, whether you are sneezing, coughing, you have neck stiffness, you must rush quickly to the nearest health facility, and that person will be taken care of free of charge.
Regional Health Director Dr. Damien Pungunyiri gave highlights of the cases.
Initially, we are dealing with Neisseria meningitis type A, which was causing massive outbreaks and deaths. As we develop vaccine for it, it changes to others, W, X, and many others. And so, with this kind of situation, you cannot determine which one you are dealing with until you are able to now make diagnosis.
Some residents are expressing worry over the surge in cases and the rate of mortalities, urging duty bearers to take the challenge.
So sad to hear. This CSM, I think, is a seasonal disease kind of thing. And we are still in February. So it means if it continues this way, lives that it will claim will be more than this. So we are expecting the duty bearers to come in, especially the health workers.
Losing one person alone is a big concern, not to talk of losing 14 people. We are calling on the health sector workers to give up their operations in order to reduce it, if not 0%, but to reduce it in a way that it will not continue killing innocent lives.
According to residents, the free medical treatment plan announced by the Ghana Health Service for non-insured meningitis patients in the Upper West region is a step in the right direction. But sustained efforts are needed to combat this deadly disease. Ibrahim Wangara, TV3 News, Upper West region.
Back to the capital, Accra, the High Court has set March 3 to determine whether the prosecution has made the substantial case against MP for Asen North, James Jachikwason, for him to open his defense. The legislator is facing charges including deceit of public officer, forgery of passport or travel certificates, and perjury and false declaration of office. Court correspondent Lord Edward Sari has more.
At the last adjourned date, the prosecution applied to recall the fifth witness, Lateef Oshenu. During cross-examination, he noted to the court that a page was missing from an exhibit he had previously submitted as evidence. The court granted the prayer for the witness to be recalled in order for the full document to be presented in court, so he refers to the omitted portion. On Wednesday, February 12, Principal State Attorney A.C. Yankadnenta told the court that upon writing a letter requesting documents from the Passport Office and the Electoral Commission, they had only received a response from the Passport Office. The Electoral Commission, she explained, were yet to attend to their request, but added that they had been assured of its arrival. She therefore prayed for a brief adjournment, but was quickly opposed by lawyers of James Jachikwason. During the cross-examination by counsel for Jachikwason, lawyer Chachikata, the witness, while referring to his evidence, told the court that the Member of Parliament for Asen North had indicated in his statutory declaration form that he is only a Ghanaian citizen and does not owe allegiance to any other country. He alleged that it was contained in a letter he had written to the Electoral Commission. After the cross-examination, the prosecution hinted that they had closed the case. The presiding judge, Mary Ikwe-Yanzu, directed both the defense lawyers and the prosecution to file their written submissions in 2 weeks. The Asen North legislator will know his fate when the case is recalled on March 3. We see how things will pan out from then. Lord Dudasari, TV3 News, Accra High Court.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end this morning. My name is Godwin Asideba. Many thanks for tuning in. New Day continues shortly with the team, so do make some time to tune in. I'll see you soon. Bye.
The news that matters most is the news that hits closest to home.